Hello. There we go, interactive. So we're going to start with something. I'd like to try something with everyone's minds, okay? So could everyone please stand up for me? Okay. So I'm going to ask you all to think of a series of things. And if you're watching this online, then you can join me too. So first off, I'd like you all to think of an instrument from an orchestra now. And if you're thinking of a violin, sit down. Thank you. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, there we go. Wonderful. All right, so if you're still standing, if you're still standing, I'd like you to imagine I'm holding a single flower. Okay, imagine what kind of flower I'm holding now. And if you're thinking of a rose, sit down. Okay. If you're still standing, oh, could I have a spare mic stand as well? Because I will need my hands for Shazamming purposes. There you go. Okay, if you're still standing, I want you to think of an animal that you might have as a pet. Thank you. Okay, think of that now. And if you're thinking of a cat or a dog, sit down. Okay. Or a fish. There we go. Or a hamster. Oh, hamster lovers. Or a snake. Or a snake eating a hamster? No, good. Okay, if you're still standing, we have some good numbers here. If we're still standing, not many left, I'd like you to think of a playing card now. Any playing card from a deck of cards now. And if you're thinking of the ace of spades, sit down, please. Okay. Or the joker? No, we're very restrained. Okay, if you're still standing, we're going to pick someone. Let's try the lady there. Hello, what's your name? Grace. Hello, Grace. Keep the card in mind. The rest of you can sit down. Grace, you're not thinking of the ace of spades, no? Okay. So before you reveal your card, before my talk, I reversed one card in this pack, which we'll come to. But for now, could you tell everyone in a loud, clear voice what was your card? The 10 of hearts. Thank you very much, Grace. The 10 of hearts. Observe. Grace? Okay. One card in the middle is reversed. It's the only card reversed. Grace, it was 10 of hearts. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be talking about magic. And a lot of magic is actually really based on psychology because we think that we see with our eyes, but really we see with our brains, and our brains can be fooled. So I'm going to show you an example here. Okay, I'm going to stand to the side so you can see it. Okay, here we've got a picture of a strange-looking flower. I want you to stare at the center of that image. Okay, I'm going to come over here so you can see it. Stare at the center of that image. And in about 30 seconds, I'm going to flick to another image, but I just want you to keep staring and keep staring at that central point when I flick to the other. So keep staring, and we'll go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep staring. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There. Ooh. Now, did we see we had like a hint of color, and then like an old photograph, the color fades away. So even color, yes? Oh, we're feeling it now. There we go. Amazing. So you've got color after effect that's only really happening in your mind. Amazing. And interestingly, you can kind of flip back and forth, and sometimes you get a little hint of it. Yeah? Okay, so we'll come to this next bit. So, as magicians, we have to think in quite unusual ways to try to amaze people. And so I'll show you an example. In this talk, I'm going to show you 5 ways you can think a little bit differently based on magic. And we'll start with this. Golf ball. All right. So, it's a silly trick. It's the kind of thing I show my kids. but it's a serious point. So this is based on directing attention and a misdirection, a word you often hear with magic. Although misdirection is quite misleading because it's not really about directing people's attention away from something, saying don't look here, because that will be the first place you look. Instead, it's about directing people towards something more interesting. Okay? And so this is our first rule, which is direct attention. So some psychologists, they think that attention is like a spotlight. So it's something you kind of point out and people move it around, but you can only point at one thing at any one time. But don't assume that people know where to point in their spotlight. So especially if you're doing a talk, think about when you want people to look at you and when you want them to look elsewhere, and then direct their spotlight accordingly. So if you're doing a talk, say, this is why if you think you want them to look at you, then focus on there. If you want to look at the slide, focus there, but keep the other one still. And that way, if you're never dividing attention, you will literally have people's undivided attention, okay? All right, let's try something else. So, I have a prediction here, which we're going to come to. We're going to talk about another of my favorite sort of psychology principles that you use a lot in magic. Before we come to that, I have a card here. It's got sort of 5 numbers from 1 to 5 on the front, and it's got 5 shapes on the back. And let's try, who should we try? A gentleman there. Hello, what's your name? Hello, Freddie. Freddie, all I want you to do is just name for me a number between 1 and 5, and I'll kind of shift the paperclip down. 2, okay. Now, Freddie, I'll give you a choice. I don't want you to be, stressed afterwards. So do you want to stick with 2, or do you want to change your choice? Change? Ooh, okay. What would you like? 4, okay. All right. Now, do you want to stick with 4, or do you want to change your mind? Good, okay, because I've only got 14 minutes. All right, so... Okay, so on the back we have the shape. So can you see this? We've got a circle, wavy lines, a cross, a circle, but you chose A. Can you see that? What is it? A star. Okay, thank you. So your shape is a star. So if your shape was on the next slide, it would be pretty good, yeah? Okay, well check it out, people. Your shape! All right, thank you for that pity clap, a couple of you. All right, it would have been better if it was a star, wouldn't it? Yeah, like that. There we go. Hey, okay. So, all right, and so this brings us onto a principle that's essential for magic, which is theory of mind. Because any time you see a magic trick, there's actually really 2. There's the trick you're experiencing, and then there's the trick the magician's experiencing, okay? And understanding that different people have different realities is known as theory of mind. Now, this isn't something we're born with. This is kind of something that we develop when we're little kids. And if people are slow to develop it, it can be an early indicator of things like autism. So it's important to know. But how do you test little kids for theory of mind? Well, psychologists have come up with many different methods, but I'd like to show you my favorite now, which is called the Smarties Test. There we go, by Perner et al. And it's based on the yummy little chocolatey goodness that are Smarties. So, I want you to imagine a parent goes into a lab with their child, okay, in this case, maybe a dad. Then the parent leaves the lab, goes into another room out of sight. Okay? Next, the experimenter comes and holds up a tube of Smarties and said to the child, what do you think is inside the Smarties? And naturally, the child says, Smarties. Okay? Then they open the tube and they reveal inside is actually a pencil. The child looks disappointed or grows a moustache. Hard to tell, really. And then they bring the dad back in, and then this is the important question. They say to the child, if your dad was asked what's inside the tube, what would he say? So, obviously, if the kid has developed theory of mind, they say Smarties, because the child realizes that dad wasn't around to see the pencil. But if they haven't developed it yet, they say the pencil, because they can't separate their reality from someone else. So this is a really useful thing, not only in magic, but it's something that you can apply in your own lives. Because so often in life, we get really into ourselves, we get really self-obsessed, kind of like a camera stuck on selfie view. But if we can flip our view, we can get out of our own minds and hop into someone else's. So in practice, say if you're applying for a job, then don't just list your skills out. That's your view. But if you flip your view, you want to link your views to what they can do for the company's challenges. Okay, you're flipping your view. Or if you're giving a talk, don't just think about all the things you could possibly say. Think about what people watching might want to hear. Okay, so next one. Let's see their reality, which we've been talking about. Next. Standout. Okay. So if you want to be remembered or noticed in life, sometimes it really does help to stand out, at least a little bit. But obviously this is glib to say that, but how do you do that in practice? Well, one really easy, simple way you can do it is to just be different from your background. And I'll show you what you mean with a couple of illusions here. So this is the classic Ebbinghaus illusion. And you can see the left-hand orange circle looks a little bit smaller than the one on the right. But if we remove the surroundings, we see they're actually the same size. Okay. Here's another one. So it looks like we've got two gradients here. We've got the surrounding gradient, and then we've got the gradient in the middle. But again, if we remove the surroundings, we see it's the same shape. Okay? So in life, think about what the surroundings are and then try to stand out. Because with our psychology, almost everything is sort of relative to our surroundings. So for instance, this is very true in terms of people sort of Insta life or people kind of curating their lives, trying to get this perfect lives online. Because if you only follow and compare yourself to people who are richer or prettier or more successful than you, then you'll obviously feel miserable. So I figure there are two solutions to this. So the first one is that you can only follow people who are ugly and rubbish. Okay? But that's the wrong solution. The right solution is to realize that, we are all different and unique in our own ways, and that should be good enough. Okay? Oh, and I should just mention, standing out is also what helped me get into Oxford University when I was younger, because against much advice, I mentioned magic on my application form, and it caught the interviewer's attention. So try standing out just a little bit and see where it takes you in life. Okay, next rule, assume it's possible. Assume it's possible. So I want you to imagine, I feel like Meech carrying the mic like this, but there we go. I want you to imagine that things are possible until proven otherwise. So as a magician, it's our job kind of every day to do the impossible. And that really kind of changes how you think about things. Because it's easy if you're coming up with something impossible. So say if I wanted to float a ball, but I wanted to do it without any wires, without any magnets, without any slides, and without any CGI. So you can either start off and go, well, obviously that's impossible. And if you do, then naturally you'll come up with reasons to confirm why it probably isn't possible. Or you can say, yeah, but if it was possible, how could you do it? And then if you're still stuck, you can list out what makes it impossible and then just find a way around each one. And most of the time, you can find some way to do it. So I'd like to show you the solution here. We go floaty ball, no wires, no magnets, no CGI, just to show you. There we go. Floaty, floaty. And here's the method, in case you're wondering. Shazam! Oh, 'tis devilry. Okay, so obviously, it's a ridiculous method. I invented it so I wouldn't be revealing real secrets. But it's a good example of how if you keep thinking and assume it's possible, then you can find a way. And do apply that in everyday life, because you'll find often, in so many parts of life, whenever you come up with an idea, especially if it hasn't been done before, there'll be a raft of people telling you that it can't be done or reasons listing why it isn't possible. But if you assume it is until proven otherwise and stick with it, often you'll find it is. Okay, let's try this. All right, this is coming on to my final one. And this isn't really strictly a magic thing, but this is something that I always found myself doing when coming up with my own magic tricks. And it's something you can try too. It's really simple, but it's really useful. And I call it leap far first. So if you imagine normally when people try and come up with something new or an original idea, they start where they currently are, and then they take kind of little steps and they edge their way out from there, and they try and kind of edge their way into somewhere new. And it makes sense, but it's tricky because as you're doing that, where you start off is where everyone else is. So the possibility space, to borrow a phrase from maths, is kind of crammed with loads of other people's ideas, and you have to kind of navigate your way through. It's kind of like trying to get your way through there. It's too much in the way. But instead, if you leap far first, like this, then you end up in a beautifully clear impossibility space with fewer ideas. So you're freer to explore, you don't have to worry about other people's ideas, and whatever you do come up with will be much more likely to be original. So give it a try, it's really simple. So for instance, if you were coming up with, say, yet another production of Romeo and Juliet, okay? It's been done to death, pardon the phrase. So what do? You can try and, tweak little bits here and there, or you can leap far first and say, okay, we're going to do the whole production as a one-person production. Or maybe you build Juliet the world's largest balcony, and she kind of shouts down from there with a megaphone. So leap far first, and you'll normally end up somewhere interesting sooner. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to show you my favorite trick that I've invented, and this kind of combines all the different principles that we've been talking about. So, just to recap first, we've got direct their attention, see their reality, flip your view, stand out, assume it's possible, and leap far first. Okay, so we're going to try something with all of those. And this doesn't really use the kind of classic standard magic tricks of, like cups and balls and playing cards and things like this. This uses something else. This uses one of my other favorite subjects, food. So, I've invented the ultimate snack machine here, patent pending. But first, we need some snacks. Now, because time was tight, before the talks got going, I asked about kind of 50 people or so to write different snacks down on the card. So can you put your hands up if you were some of the people did that? Yes, thank you, there, yes? Okay, cool, a nice sprinkling. And then I had someone collect them in, and you've been looking after them. Thank you, round of applause for her, please. Okay, and for this, we also need someone who really appreciates food, okay? Not a glutton, just a connoisseur. So, well, I say to the audience, or at least someone who can eat everything. Let's have a look. Let's try, I can see a lady in a kind of bright top there. What's your name, madam? Mrs. Smith, there we go. Formal to the end, excellent. All right, Mrs. Smith. I'll call myself Mr. Meech. Mrs. Smith. It's a good film. Mrs. Smith, do you have any food allergies? No. Okay, do you have a first name I can call you just for this? Claire, there we go. All right, cool. Okay, Claire. Then you'll be perfect. Please come and join me. Give it up for Claire, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Claire. Thanks for coming up. All right, if you can go on that side for me, please. All right. So, Claire. Here we have our snack machine, okay? But first, like I say, we need some snacks. So, I'd like you to reach over for me if you can. Just reach over and lift off a chunk of cards like that, and then pause there, okay? It's all right. The magic escapes sometimes. It's the powers. Okay, it's good. Okay, so do you want to stick with those? You can drop a couple off, pick a couple more up, whatever you want to do. No? You're okay? All right, come in a bit. Okay, place them here. Hold out your free hand. Perfect. We'll go for 1, 2... let's try 3. Okay, now obviously if you had changed your mind, we would have ended up with some other snacks. So we'll just show some of the other ones you can see that we might have had today. So, flapjacks, crisps.
Mini cheddar.
Healthy. That's just rude. Crisps again, and chocolate, and so on, okay? But we ended up with those. So, in a moment, I would like you to turn over the top one, read out what it says, and hopefully, whatever she says, we shall produce. Okay. Yeah, go for it. Kit Kat. Okay. Kit Kat. Kit Kat. Pod. Hold out your other hand. Does that look like a chunk of Kit Kat?
Yeah.
Does it taste like Kit Kat?
Yep.
Yes, 1 down. Okay. Okay, what's our next one? Here we go. What's our next one?
Oh, salt and vinegar crisps.
Salt and vinegar crisps. Okay. Salt and vinegar crisps. Another pod. Hold out your hand again. Do they look like crisps?
Yeah.
But are they salt and vinegar crisps? Yes, 2 down. Yes, there we go. Okay. So I know your mouth's full. Yeah, take a break. What's the third one? Let's finish this off. Let's see.
I hope it's a drink.
You hope it's a drink. Oh, sorry. Let's see.
Cornflakes.
Cornflakes. How brilliantly studenty. All right, let's give it a go. Why not? All right, cornflakes. So do you want it? Why not? Do you want it with or without milk? With. Okay, it's kind of like a drink, maybe. All right, okay. With. Cornflakes with milk. 2 pods. Wait. Hold that. Hold that. Oh, shall I? Okay. In a moment, I want you to have a taste, and if it is cornflakes with milk, and that part wasn't on the card, the milk, Pete, you decided that bit now, yes? If it is cornflakes with milk, since your mouth will be full, I want you to punch the air like Rocky Balboa, thus signifying the end of the talk. You will return to your seat, I will bow, they will applaud, hopefully it'll be beautiful. Don't let me down. Go. Yeah! I've been Oliver Meech, you guys have rocked, thank you!